It's great to be here today, back at the University of Birmingham, to give the first, and hopefully not the last, Arts Matters annual lecture. Thank you to David and the whole team for inviting me to speak about my career and my current role working at Comic Relief, transforming star power into social impact. It's nearly exactly a year ago since I was here with Lenny Henry, preparing for the opening of the Birmingham 2012 Commonwealth Games, as Comic Relief is one of the official charity partners. Now, in true student fashion, I finished this talk while on the train here today, but without the Pro Plus, the can of Red Bull, and the majestic but slightly eerie frighteningness of the old library. My time at University of Birmingham was a very special one. 3 amazing years studying English and drama. It was a rich course that I really enjoyed. I met some amazing people, both lecturers and fellow students. The memories of performing in Cadbury Hall, putting on shows in Deb Hall, and taking a show to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival stay with me now. A quick story of how I got here. I left in 2011 wanting to work in theatre. But when I was performing as Leonardo in an outdoor production of Much Ado About Nothing on the Vale and started improvising Shakespeare because I was too hopeless and lazy to learn my lines, it cemented the idea that backstage was for me. I was lucky enough to secure an internship at the Donmar Warehouse Theatre in Covent Garden in London. It's a really unique venue. It only has 280 seats, but a really impressive history of attracting some of the best talent in the world. And Sam Mendes was the first artistic director. I was in at the deep end, and the first production I worked on was Richard II, starring Eddie Redmayne. I worked with some of the best theatre professionals at the time, teams in casting, production, fundraising and education. It was a really small team that cared deeply about producing the highest quality work. After my internship, I was lucky enough to be given a full-time role working in production, which involved casting, organising press nights, special events, and photocopying 25 copies of every single script. And fundraising, this is a very small theatre, and it only receives a very, very tiny Arts Council budget. So philanthropy and corporate donations were really vital. The casting element of casting production really interested me. The process of finding the best actors to feature in the wide range of productions, and I used to go to the theatre about 2 to 3 nights a week in London, absorbing as much as I could, exploiting my youth and securing very cheap tickets. I found my place and community, but I discovered there was an element missing for me, and that kind of real sense of purpose. And that's not to say that theatre doesn't have a purpose, quite the contrary. It can engage, delight, teach, and the theatre and education work at the Donmar was second to none, working with schools and youth groups in London, regularly giving young people their very first theatrical experience. But after doing some volunteering work with the youth charity V Inspired in my downtime hours outside of work, I really discovered the idea of social justice. For me, it's always been simple and about fairness, a world that is just and fair for all, and that we all have a role to play in doing what we can to support those who might need extra help. And so when I saw a role at Comic Relief to join the, as it was called then, the Artist Relations team, a role to persuade celebrities and famous folk to support Comic Relief, it was the perfect alignment. And I moved to Comic Relief at the end of 2013. Comic Relief, in case you don't know, is a charity that was launched in 1985 in response to the Ethiopian famine by Richard Curtis, Lenny Henry and Jane Chewson, with a vision of a just world free from poverty. Its USP was to drive positive change through the power of entertainment. Its first event was on Christmas Day 1985, and it was a live broadcast on Noel Edmonds' BBC Breakfast show from a refugee camp in Sudan. In 1986, it took the form of 3 live fundraising shows at the Shaftesbury Theatre in London, with the likes of Stephen Fry, French and Saunders, Billy Connolly, and of course, Lenny Henry, performing funny sketches and segments. But then one day, legend says that Dawn French proposed the idea, we're all on TV, why don't we do this on TV and reach more people? Or something like that, and definitely in a much wittier way. And so the telethon was born, a live show on BBC One featuring all the best and beloved comedians and entertainers. The first event raised £15 million and attracted 30 million television viewers. And if you follow TV viewership, that's what TV commissioners and execs can only dream of nowadays. Fast forward to now, 38 years later, and £1.5 billion raised later, and Comic Relief has adapted and evolved to the times, but still with the core belief of a just world free from poverty. Here in the UK and around the world, too many people are left behind with wealth and advances in society benefiting too few. Progress is not providing a good life for all, with millions of people in poverty because of who they are or where they happen to live. COVID-19 laid bare and deepened the challenges and injustices that existed in our world, and climate change is forcing more people into hardship. We're living through strange and difficult times. It feels kind of weird to say that all the time, but it kind of, every year it kind of gets bigger. Poverty is hitting people hard, and even the basics like access to good healthcare, heating, and having food in the fridge can no longer be relied upon for many. On top of this, there is a new food crisis in East Africa caused by the worst drought in 40 years, which is not getting as much media attention as it should. But there is still hope, and that's where Comic Relief comes in. There are reasons to set our sights on a better future. Our younger generations are too aware to social injustice and really restless for change. We're reminded every day of the inherent goodness in people. We see the support groups that kept so many going through the pandemic. We see the companies taking a stand and using their platforms for good. And we see the grassroots organisations transforming their communities. Helping others isn't charity, it's humanity. When we come together to help others, we unleash the best in all of us. Now, Comic Relief has had a long journey since it was founded in 1985. As I've mentioned, we use the power of humour and popular culture to engage people to help others, and we raise money to support organisations working towards a just world free from poverty. Our mission combines the comic and the relief. We believe that helping others can be easy and fun, even in the face of the biggest challenges around us, through big campaigns and small, everyday acts. And popular culture is just that, popular. We believe in making change happen by working with others with wide appeal. In their Riding the Waves report published in 2017, Alex Sackrider and Esme Peach explore how pop culture has the potential to catalyse social change in the UK. They say that popular culture is a powerful vehicle for propelling progressive social justice narratives to mainstream audiences. Culture is a shared space where people make sense of the world, where ideas are introduced and values are instilled. It is a key place for campaigners to win hearts and minds. Cultural change is often the precursor to political and policy change. Culture moves issues into the mainstream and provokes us to think about how we view the world. It may not write the legislation, but culture can create the conditions for political change to become inevitable. The UK has a vibrant pop culture scene, which is ripe for funders and activists seeking to catalyse social change. And kind of relating it back to my world and my role, specifically on talent and celebrities, they revealed that British public figures with a passion for activism and philanthropy have helped put marginalised issues on the mainstream agenda, rallying new supporters and raising valuable funds to deliver much-needed services and grow movements for change. Some of the UK's most star-studded cultural events, such as Glastonbury Festival, have long-standing cause partnerships. And some of the world's best-known examples of entertainment and public figure-led advocacy and fundraising initiatives, such as Band-Aid, Red Nose Day, Children in Need, and Make Poverty History, were catalysed in the UK, involving an extensive ecosystem of partnerships across broadcasters, the arts, the sports, the entertainment industries, and the NGO sector. So comedy and popular culture have the power to bring people together. Comic Relief's sweet spot will always be doing this in a way that engages and sparks emotion. We stir the heart and inspire the heartfelt belief in a better future for all. And very quickly, Comic Relief and our new strategy highlight the 4 ways we believe we can drive change in the world. That's public engagement, raising awareness and creating connections between our supporters and the issues we fund. Fundraising, creating experiences that reach people, inspiring them to donate and fundraise themselves. providing funding to fantastic organisations who are tackling the causes and consequences of poverty, and convening, using our profile and networks to bring together people and organisations. And so to my role, which I didn't know existed when I first left University of Birmingham, of persuading and working with celebrities and recognisable faces to engage and inspire audiences to fundraise and donate. Now, I love my role because it's really creative and really challenging, and I love working at Comic Relief because it fuses the popular culture with the social justice in a very brilliant and unique way. Now, during my time at Comic Relief, coming up to 10 years, I've worked alongside amazing colleagues and collaborated with incredible partners. The role has taken me to Downing Street, Buckingham Palace, South Africa, Uganda, Kenya, Namibia, all around the UK, and to New York to work on Red Nose Day USA. There is no average week, and it ranges from in-depth strategy meetings with colleagues, planning and plotting the next activation, to applying sun cream to Nick Grimshaw's legs in Namibia during a Sport Relief challenge. One of the really special parts of the job is visiting the projects we fund in the UK and around the world and meeting the people benefiting from the money you've played a small part in raising. Witnessing firsthand the impact and meeting the really passionate project workers who are so committed really is life-changing. The power of talent has always been one of Comic Relief's USPs. It's in our DNA. And when Comic Relief was founded in 1985 and started as a TV show, at that time, TV was king, with a massive reach in viewing figures to reach an audience. Appointment to view television is not the same now, apart from big national moments like a coronation or to big sporting fixtures. But we are adapting to the landscape of using different channels to reach audiences and therefore different talent to help do that. And that's a journey that is underway, not finished, and definitely in progress. And a couple of trends I've seen during my time at Comic Relief include the need for authenticity and credibility. The public want to see, and I'm going to use the word talent, which means celebrity influencers, but it's just a bit of a nicer term. The public want to see talent that are in it for the long term, not just a quick PR moment. Talent who are committed to the cause and passionate about making a difference. And we're seeing that talent want to focus on fewer charities now, where they can properly invest their time and show the impact of their support. And impact is the crucial word here. In the same way charities and organisations are focusing their strategies to deliver better impact, talent are too. Now, Marcus Rashford is a brilliant example of this. His work on food poverty over the past few years has been highly successful because it's been targeted, using all available levers to create change, including providing food bank support to provide immediate help for those who need it, bringing together corporate partners and supermarkets to work together to play their part through a CSR lens, and advocacy and policy work to create long-lasting change at national level. Talent use their time, skills and voice with more care and consideration now. And competitively, that means we need to stand out. Representation has also become a big priority for us at Comic Relief. We're making and have already made a number of initiatives across different projects that are about working with people with lived experience, letting them tell their own stories. But it's not just storytelling, even on the funding side. It's letting communities that are closest to the issues define the solutions that they need. Talent still play an important role in helping to tell those stories, but we're doing that in a more sensitive way that help platform and give voice to people who have the lived experience. And representation also means we need to work with a really diverse roster of talent. And I mean diversity in all forms of the word: race, age, gender, background, disability, regionality. Audiences really want to see themselves represented in our work. So since I've joined, the team and I have worked really hard to improve this by championing emerging talent, setting ourselves targets, and being open to the honest conversations we need to have in order to listen and improve. That's the kind of heavy part. So now I want to get into a few great examples of really projects that I've worked on during my time at Comic Relief that really stand out and that I'm proud of for different reasons. I've been at Comic Relief coming up to 10 years, and every year we work with around 250 talent. So selecting a few examples is quite difficult, both in narrowing them down and actually remembering them. The first one I want to speak about is Billy Monger and his challenge that he took on for us in 2021. If you don't know Billy, he was a very successful and up-and-coming racing driver in Formula One. In 2017, Billy was involved in a life-changing racing crash where he collided into another car at 120 miles per hour, meaning amputations to both of his legs. Fueled by an outpouring of support from the public and his rehabilitation team, Billy returned to racing a specially modified car in the British F3 Championship. He went on to finish an incredible third position and walked onto the podium. The challenge that he did for us saw him walk, cycle and kayak 140 miles over 4 days in 2021 across different parts of the UK, culminating at his home circuit of Brands Hatch.
This is the toughest physical challenge that I've ever set myself. I'm going to have to push myself beyond what I think I'm capable of.
Bill hasn't ridden a bike since he had his accident.
Stay beside me, come on.
He hasn't ridden a kayak, and he certainly hasn't walked a marathon.
I'm in pain quite a lot.
Yeah, it's madness.
Looks choppy, I'll tell you that.
If the wind gets underneath his kayak, it's just going to go.
Woohoo! Go on, Billy!
Hello, mate. How's it going?
Billy Monger!
How many times did it take you to pass your driving test?
More than one.
Shut up!
I want to give you a big, big, big squeeze.
Come on, Bill. Come on. He'll be absolutely gutted.
Am I really capable of doing this?
Come on, buddy.
Have I bitten off more than I can chew? I don't think I've ever had to reach that deep before. The fact that I'm doing this for such an amazing cause, that's going to be huge. Huge motivation.
That's your mum up there.
Billy, come on!
I'd never dreamt in a million years that he'd be walking that far. Everyone out there feels a little bit proud of him.
In the process of hopefully changing people's lives with the money we raise, I think I've changed my own a little bit as well.
You've done it. You smashed it, boy.
Now, we thought about Billy to take on the annual Comic Relief Challenge for a number of reasons. His personal story, as you've just witnessed, of determination and resilience was incredibly powerful. And in early discussions, Billy had a real desire to pay back the support he received as part of his rehabilitation. And so raising money with Comic Relief was a great way to do this. In 2021, we were still living in the challenging times of the pandemic. I think COVID exposed something about community, how we relied on so money to get us through the challenging and difficult times. Billy taking on this challenge, I think, really spoke to that. The challenge itself was a challenge for us as the team who staged the event. We had to isolate in Newcastle, where Billy started his challenge, for 7 days, living in isolation and being delivered meals to our bedroom doors. There was COVID testing every other day to keep Billy and the whole crew safe. And sadly, people weren't encouraged to come out and cheer Billy on, but the phenomenal support from the public following his challenge live on the BBC during the week of, and media outlets, and then watching his documentary on BBC One telling the story of his epic endurance feat, raised over £3 million. Creativist was a project I devised with 2 other colleagues. The idea was to speak to a younger, non-BBC One watching audience by teaming up with really talented creatives and allowing them to use their distinctive style to tell the world about the issues we cared about. Each creativist spent time with a Comic Relief funded project in the UK, finding inspiration in the people they met and the stories they heard. Then came their challenge, to create something unique, insightful and engaging. We worked with Maria, a vlogger, Axie, a graffiti artist, Nikita, a spoken word artist, Sophie, a photographer, and Harry, a filmmaker. Now, I've picked this example out because I wanted to demonstrate it's not always about TV and working with the most famous names. Our objective was to build new relationships with influencers. A slightly strange term, but one that I would define influencers as a talent who achieve their success and status through digital and social channels rather than more traditional and mainstream channels like TV and radio. They can sometimes get a bad rep and I think are often held to an unfair standard of scrutiny, but are often some of the most creative and industry-shifting creatives. By working with this group of 5, we wanted to inspire and drive engagement with more diverse audiences to step change youth perceptions of comic relief. And now forgive me for a slightly self-indulgent one. But each year, to launch the Red Nose Day campaign, we create a film to let people know the campaign is back and to try to capture the public's imagination to get involved. We are very fortunate to receive astonishing public support every single year. And when we ask the public to help, the response demonstrates the generosity and spirit of the British public. But we do have to work hard to reach people in a crowded charity market, 24/7 news, and these days TikTok. For 2021, the campaign slogan was "Funny is Power," capturing the idea that has been at the heart of Comic Relief's approach from the very start, that you can have a good time while also doing good. And when your co-founder is Richard Curtis, writer of some of the UK's most beloved sitcoms like The Vicar of Dibley and Blackadder, and films like Love Actually, Notting Hill and Four Weddings, you know you're always going to have a script that gives you all the feels. And for this script, we needed two legends, two slightly unexpected names that were instantly recognisable, that could bring gravitas and power. So we persuaded Dame Judi Dench and Benedict Cumberbatch. And this is the film.
What is it to be human? What is it that connects us? Why are we so divided? 7 billion people on the planet, 7 billion hearts and minds, each of us with different desires, opinions, dreams. But the one thing that unites us all is that this is pretty funny.
Really?
Meeting Dame Judi Dench was one of the best days of my life, with no exaggeration, and one of the few days when I had to seriously hide how starstruck I was. She was cheeky, graceful, and an utter delight to work with. When I click send on an email asking internationally renowned theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking to voice one of our red noses as part of a kids' game on the Comic Relief website, I chuckled, assumed I'd never hear back, and started thinking about the next more realistic person to ask. The next day, his brilliant PA got in touch saying Stephen would be delighted to voice the red nose, and the first request of its kind. In this job, you learn a cheekiness. There's a common motto we often use: if you don't ask, you don't get. And what's the worst that can happen? They just won't reply. So we had an in. So a few of us got together to see if there was something bigger and better that Stephen could do. And no offence to the Red Nose Day game, that still did happen. But the result was this sketch, which I have amateurly edited in order to cut it down.
Renowned scientist and occasional sitcom star Stephen Hawking has used the same trademark voice for over 30 years. This year, he decided it was time for a change. As word got out for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, offers began to flood in. We've been granted privileged access to the casting process as Professor Hawking reviews the audition tapes from the hopeful applicants.
Time to hide my new voice.
Stephen, it's me. Surely it has to be me. Listen to my voice. It's deep. It's sexy.
Did Liam Neeson do the whole phone call, like...
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want.
Did he? Ugh, prick.
It has to be a yes from you.
No, not a chance.
I've heard on the grapevine that a bunch of quits are trying to get you to pick them as your new voice. Come on. Who better soothing, calming voice than I've got? You'd be crazy not to pick me.
I don't think anyone would take me seriously if I sounded like that.
Okay, wait. The greatest enemy to knowledge is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. Yeah. I think that sounded like I have class and sophistication coming out of my ass.
It's not looking good. I'd sound like an idiot if that was my voice.
memory. You have photographic memory.
Stephen, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, can science be sexy?
I am a science addict. All my songs are about it. Spinning around, it's about centrifugal force.
Yo, my name's Lin-Manuel, my voice is dope as hell, and I'm not throwing away my shot. So you're Stephen Hawking from Cambridge College, but your voice is mad robotic, if I'm being honest. You gotta holler just to be heard with every word you drop knowledge.
No.
I am Steve Hawking.
I am Steve.
Action.
Sorry. So Steve, listen. I feel like I'm the best man for the job. Reason being, I've been to space before, okay? You talk about space. I've lived it.
Wowzers.
Some celebrities were insulted that they even needed to audition.
So what is it, like a sequel? If they want me to go through that again, they're going to have to pay me a shed load of cash.
Honestly, I loved being in that film about you, and I know Eddie did a really, really good job, but I could have played you so much better. He didn't even like space.
The man literally has one topic of conversation. Black holes.
Black hole. I mean, I've seen one, but I wouldn't really talk about it.
Black holes and astronomy, that one. Stars get him, like, rampantly excited. And the only star that I care about is...
After a long session watching desperate celebrities try and win him over...
Will I get the role more if I...
Stephen finally decided...
Yes, that's it. That's my new voice.
...and prepared to unveil it the next day.
Hello. My name is Stephen Hawking. You were only supposed to blow the bloody atom.
The day 3 of us went to Cambridge to film in Stephen Hawking's actual office was surreal, and like we'd entered a different universe entirely. We arrived an hour before Stephen to set up, but mainly to snoop around the office and marvel at the equations on the chalkboard and the Simpsons figurines on his desk. Our time with him was very special, and I made him laugh with some terrible joke, which I can't quite remember what the joke was. And then we had to start casting for the other talent in the film, which was surprisingly easy. When you have Stephen Hawking involved, everyone says yes. Clips were coming in from film sets, gardens, bedrooms, and restaurants. When we released the film, it started trending on YouTube, which I didn't even know was a thing, and eventually featured on the BBC One show. It speaks to something special about comic relief, that if you give people the chance to do something to help raise money and awareness of what we're doing, they often say yes. That makes my job sound easy, and I have to kind of insist it isn't all the time. You have to work around availability and all the other time commitments and pressing demands, other charity requests flooding in, building the relationships with agents and reps to get your email seen in the first place. But Comic Relief gives the chance for talent to do something funny, different, weird, and wonderful. Now, I've spoken a lot about the comic side of Comic Relief, the entertaining and engaging content we produce to inspire people into action. But the relief side is just as important. One film I was proud to work on earlier this year was on the issue of child trafficking with Farah.
I was 9. Nobody should ever go through what I did. It's happening every day. And I was told, you go with this lady, you travel with her. She said, your name's gonna be Mohammed Farah, just remember that. It's just a little kid. I didn't know what traffic meant. I was 9. My role was look after the kids, make sure they came first before me, and if I didn't do any of that, I'll be in big trouble. I couldn't talk to anyone at that point, but I managed to have a good relationship with my teacher, and I said, I need you to help me and try and get me out. I was very lucky to escape that situation. It took me 30 years to even talk about it or to come forward to this point, because I didn't know if I was going to get into trouble. And you can never stop blaming yourself. It's happening every day. But by talking about it more and coming forward, I think we can make more changes. No child should ever go through what I did. I think every child deserves to be a child.
Now, child trafficking was an issue Comic Relief has funded for a long time, and the lived experiences of Mo, who bravely shared his story in a documentary last year. It's very difficult to tell these very sensitive and personal stories, especially of children under 16, for obvious moral and legal reasons. And so we asked Mo if he could reshare his story for our BBC One show, reminding people of his own journey and experience to the UK, and then asking people to donate so we could continue to support others affected by child trafficking. And this was a good way of using talent with their own lived experience to share their story in connection to the work we're funding that felt really heartfelt and authentic. And there is lots of safeguarding work at Comic Relief that goes on behind the scenes across many of our projects knowing that we have a responsibility to ensure our work and position as a funder is safe and doesn't result in harm. As I mentioned, it's been really hard to whittle down all the projects I've worked on, and there are a few more here on the screen, including the All-Star Games, which was a project we did last year as part of the Commonwealth Games here in Birmingham, where we got lots of celebs to take part in some of the sports, and it went out as a show on BBC One. Now, nearing the end of this talk, I should probably leave you with a profound thought. I'm not sure I can do that, but I think this idea captures the essence of Comic Relief. If you give people the chance to be generous and kind, they usually will. It might take some persuading and negotiation at times, but I truly believe people have an inherent desire for kindness, and that kindness is a ripple effect that can create so much good in the world. That might seem naive, simplistic, or stupidly optimistic, but I think there's some truth in it. Now, the title of this lecture series, Arts Matters, is a really important one, especially at a time when we've seen the value of the arts debated and, in my opinion, severely underfunded and under-prioritised. The UK is a phenomenal leader of the arts with some of the finest, bravest and boldest talent. We should be doing everything we can to unleash and unlock this potential. It's something that needs to be nurtured, taught and really encouraged. And my kind of golden thought on this is that if the opening ceremony of the London 2012 Olympic Games wasn't a more obvious display of the power of the arts, I don't know what is. Arts lifts us up, and we would be nothing without the arts. Thank you.